tonight, the number of untested rape kits getting larger. This even after a law was passed to help stop the backlog.
For weeks now, Jim Spiewak has investigated what's going on. I almost choked when I read this number, Jim. You found a 535% increase in the number of submitted kits.
And Shauna and Mark, that's just in the last few years. I want to put this into context for you. So the state crime lab, they get about 120 new kits every single month. Go back just a few years and the crime lab says they were getting about 400 a year. They're now having to use a third-party vendor to try to help catch up, but it's still not enough. Julie Valentine leaves no doubt.
Rape really takes away somebody's power and control.
The BYU researcher and sexual assault advocate can explain the issue.
To really eradicate this, reduce it in our society, we have to all join together.
But to find a solution, she's been saying the same thing for years.
It is an emergency.
She's talking about the nearly 1,900 people who are currently waiting for their rape kit to be tested.
We take it very personally that every one of those rape kits represents a person and their story and some traumatic event.
It's a number Amy Lightfoot expects to grow by 3,300 by this summer. As deputy director of the state crime lab, Amy is charged with clearing up the backlog.
We've received over a 535% increase in sexual assault submissions in the last 6 years, just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with.
Kits being backlogged is nothing new. In 2017, House Bill 200 passed in part to speed up testing. Here's how lawmakers described the issue then.
It's to the point of a statewide emergency.
This has got to be a top priority of the legislature to deal with.
The law set timelines for when kits must be tested. Of the 1,000 tests since that time, just 8 have met the deadline.
Based on these priority cases, only 8 were done within the time frame. Why?
Yeah. So that's a really great situation, or great question. And unfortunately, what you're looking at there is the result of a partially funded mandate.
Amy and her team said they needed $2.4 million to pay for 17 technicians to get caught up. But lawmakers gave them half the money, $1.2 million, which only got them 9 technicians, and the backlog has been growing since.
But isn't this a pretty important thing? I mean, what's the sales pitch to say, hey, we need this money to get this done?
Yeah, well, it's a challenge.
The fact that it was funded meant that it was a priority.
Greg Hughes was the Speaker of the House in 2017.
It's just competing with so many other pressing needs.
Hughes says bills sometimes get less money at first until there's justification more is needed in the future.
I just would regret if anyone thought when you see something that had a fiscal note and it was funded less, that meant that there wasn't, we were callous to that, or the legislative process didn't care about that.
A health department study found the costs resulting from sexual violence totals $5 billion a year in Utah. Costs from unplanned pregnancies, loss of work, medical and mental health issues that can lead to substance abuse.
It actually saves us money to test the rape kit. It saves us money. It saves the heartache, preventing future sexual assaults.
Yet today, there are more untested rape kits sitting around than ever before.
I don't know that there's anything I can say to make that situation okay. I don't think it's okay.
Right, that's a huge number. What does this mean for all of the victims?
Yeah, well, this is a very complicated issue. So Julie Valentine goes on to tell me that victims should not be discouraged by the backlog, adding there are great health benefits with getting a test, getting mental health, getting medical treatment if you need it. And Amy over at the crime lab tells me that they need the full funding every year or we continue to run the risk of another backlog. And I have spoken with several lawmakers over the last few weeks who say they will continue to lobby for the full $2.4 million in this upcoming session. They got 1.2. They say they need the full $2.4 million to get this thing caught up.
It's about funding.
It really is.
Yeah. All right, Jim. Thank you very much.
Yep.